frequencies. Investors can use targeted marketing to adjust pricing based on seasons and create promotions to attract guests throughout the year. By applying dynamic pricing, rates can be optimized and based on demand, enabling investors to increase their revenue by adjusting their prices as needed. So increase revenue through premium pricing. Service accommodation typically commands higher pricing, higher nightly rates, and a better profit margins. Travelers are willing to pay the premium for the comfort of home with a service accommodation. Platforms like Airbnb and VRBO make it easy to reach a global audience, increasing the property visibility and accessibility to this. These platforms also streamline bookings, attracting more guests and ensuring a steady flow of income to investors. So obviously, we know one of the main reasons why people come to Ghana is because of the fact that they want to see the tourist attractions. So the next slide, please. Yeah, so now, the next slide, please. So flexibility and control. Another appealing factor is flexibility and control. Investors have the power to set their own calendar, allowing them to use the property for themselves during off-peak. So I don't even need to read this because this one I know this off the top of my head. Now, most people who I've dealt with, they want the flexibility that's maybe during February, after December, and they've had the stress of a very long Q1 or even late Q4. They want that flexibility to come. So they're able to go into their the calendars and block it off. So it's very important that you understand as an investor and a property owner, you have that flexibility to use it as and when you want to. Even if you want a week from the wife and the kids, Charlie, this is where you have that's why you work hard so you have this. Now, comfort and affordability for travelers. Travelers today value amenities that enhance their experiences. Service accommodations come with essentials like a fully equipped kitchen, laundry facilities, spacious living areas, Wi-Fi, offering more than typical hotels. There are also great options for budget-conscious families or groups which save money by sharing a single property and prepping meals at home. This combination of comfort and affordability makes service accommodation a preferred choice for many. The next slide, please. Sustainability and appeals. Sustainability is becoming increasingly important in travels. Service accommodation can incorporate eco-friendly practices such as energy-efficient appliances, recycling programs, and locally sourced products. These sustainable practices appeal to eco-conscious travelers who prioritize environmentally responsible accommodation. Resilience and risk mitigation. So I was just saying earlier that during COVID, right, one would have thought that due to the fact that there's a lot of restrictions and we couldn't move, COVID ended up being one of my most profitable periods in the business I've been doing for the past 10 years. Because of the fact that a lot of people wanted to be at home, people were not going to the office, so that drive came through. I didn't make the price points high. It made it make sense, and I ended up getting booking completely full. So service accommodation also offers resilience in times of economic downfall. Unlike traditional rentals, this model can weather tough times better, providing a more stable income. Investors in this sector can quickly adapt the market changes by adjusting pricing, marketing, or guest targeting strategies. Compared to the traditional real estate service accommodation, provide greater flexibility and liquidity and responsiveness on demand. Because most people, if you send them a question that, is this place available, they'll probably get back to you within 5 minutes. So people always ask, how do travelers find these apartments? So this is what happens. So online booking platforms like Booking.com, VRBO, Airbnb, they are the ones that dominate the travel industry. So anybody anywhere in the world, if you want for an apartment or hotel, you would go on Booking.com. Or for example, the second one too is SEO, search engines. Many travelers rely on Google and other search engines to help them find it. And they type in, for example, service apartments in Ghana. I'm sure a lot of people here who are in the business can testify that that's how they were probably found on that. Social media plays a huge role. We get about 50% of the ROI just by virtue of the fact that we are very active on social media to work. word of mouth, you'll realize that people actually prefer what their friends have told them to what somebody else has said to them. So word of mouth is something that take very, very seriously. So travel blogs and websites. So if you know any blogger who that's what he or she does as well, invite them over to your property, let them share their experiences and enhance what they can potentially do for that. Local tourism offices. Traditional resources like local tourism offices and travel agency also used by travelers looking for reliable and well-reviewed properties. Mobile apps and online reviews. Mobile apps and reviews platforms like TripAdvisor make it easier for travelers to find and evaluate properties, and emphasizing the importance of strong online presence. And bottom line is, in this conclusion, the future is based on innovation and sustainability. Service accommodation presents a tremendous opportunity for investors to earn sustainable passive income by catering to a growing demand for comfort and affordability. You can achieve higher returns and contribute positively to your community and environment. Much like the parable that I said initially, hospitality is a key element of our culture, and we have the chance to provide travelers with a memorable experience that goes beyond basic accommodation. Together, let's embrace this investment model and help shape the future, and let's shape the sustainable travel-friendly future hospitality. So now, this is the first segment, and everything I spoke to is automatically targeting the investor, somebody who wants to spend his or her money in a real estate market. This second part, and this part I need to ask is anybody here a young person who wants to get into real estate? Please raise your hands if that's you are. Okay. And is anybody here in real estate right now? Apart from what you do dating? Okay. So now, this is called the real estate entrepreneur. I didn't even put the real estate agent, I put entrepreneur. What I'm about to share with you, after what you do, you have to take it in good faith, because I'm giving you advice based on over 13 years of experience. And you need to understand that these are ways you can monetize what you have and the resources. You're in a room right now with people who can sell and rent your apartment and make you a decent living. But you need to be able to learn how to do the right thing so that you can turn that into a business and something sustainable. Because if you only think about today, then let's go. Okay, so the business. As you can see, learn to be resourceful. So all these points, these are for people who are real estate professionals who want to get in the game. Anybody can rent a property. Anybody can say, okay, listen, I'm an agent. I have this apartment, this and that. But at the end of the day, if you find yourself in that situation, for example, 3 o'clock in the morning, Quist has rented a 2-bedroom apartment at the gallery, and her plumbing, her water isn't working in the bathroom. Just because you started renting the apartment, what do you do? Who do you call? Something like that, that is up to you to be very resourceful. You should have about 2 or 3 plumbers on speed dial who can come to you in the middle of the night and be ready to pay for their Uber to get there, because of the fact that you want to make sure that that client is happy, so you're doing whatever needs to be done. So you need to have direct access to handymen, plumbers, electricians, carpenters, and always bank on high competency and only work with people that you've tried before in the past. Now, another thing is be very upfront about your terms and business. I say this because there are lots of, I don't know if you guys have had this situation in the past whereby you're selling an apartment or you are renting it for a landlord, and then the client pays the money, and now you go to the landlord and you say, okay, can I have my commission right now? And he says, no, I'll give the commission. You go collect the commission from the landlord. The reason why that happens is because you've not been upfront from the onset about the fact that these are my terms and conditions. I would take a 1-month commission, or I'll take a 10-month commission for the sale. Have those very frank conversations. It will shock you that the landlord he or she will respect you, because realize that this is somebody who's about his business. Right? Now, don't burn bridges. This, please, I'm saying this right now, don't burn business. Business is just business. People take some things way too personally. It doesn't make sense. If today, Ajwa, you call me that you have a potential booking for a 2-bedroom apartment, and then the client is supposed to show up at this month, or the client is coming, I send you an invoice, and the client doesn't show up. Don't feel as if you can't pick up the phone and call me again. I don't care. It's just business. That's about people personalize things, and they end up, and because of that, you're not burning unnecessary bridges. Understand that, look, if we're all here to make money. Just so understand that. Let's not take it to a different way. This thing happens sometimes, and it's just part of the game. Now, reviews. I've seen a lot of people have a different take on reviews. They say, I want to make sure I have 100% on Airbnb, blah, blah, blah. Cool, I'm all for that. If whatever that's within your control, do what you need to do. But how many of us have been there one day, we're trying to make a call, and MTN isn't going through, or Vodafone isn't going through? How many of us? Please raise your hands, honestly. And you're in the middle of a reported phone call, and because of that, you miss out the opportunity or the person's mindset to do. It's not your fault. But some clients, again, I can testify, some clients will end up saying, okay, this place, they gave you useless Wi-Fi, this and that. But you've done everything you're supposed to, then they'll leave you a negative review. Then you come back and you bite yourself back, you're not good, this and that. Do what you can and leave the rest to God. At the end of the day, there's only so much you can really do. You understand? Now, cleaning. This is very important. This is a core infrastructure in what you're doing. Make sure you have a trusted service provider who doesn't need that much coaching. So, for example, I do cleaning 2 times a week for my properties, all of them. So if you book maybe for like a week, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, all my cleaners know they're supposed to be there. Anything apart from that, the tenants will have to pay for that. But Tuesdays and Thursdays are fully paid for. And the cleaners have access to the properties without you having to give them the keys. All these are people who should be vetted and tried and tested. It will make your life exponentially easier. And if you can put them on things like CRM, so we have things like bed booking, which allows us to load all our different properties onto it. So that way, the cleaners are able to say, okay, we have a tenant in G20 for 14 nights. Automatically, he or she does that. When they're done, you know you're supposed to pay them. But you make the process as much as you can, because it's not every situation that you have to be chasing up with certain things. Now, taxes. Next slide, please. Good. Now, taxes. I implore you guys, because I've worked with a few agents in the past, and I've had too many issues with this. Taxes, learn your local taxes. Learn the difference between the withholding tax, 8% for residential, and what you call again, commercial, which is 15%. Some companies and some people don't really care about that. But what happens is when you're giving your pricing to somebody and the person wants to take out withholding tax from it, then it starts to cause a problem. Because, for example, let's say you have a company A. The company A said they'll pay you $2,000 for a 2-bedroom in East Legon. And then you send him the invoice. Then it says, okay, I'll take out 8% withholding tax from it. So you're looking at, okay, $2,000 times 12 minus 8. So that's $1,920 taken out of the money. It's technically your money because, again, it's still withholding tax. But because of the fact that you probably don't file your taxes, that's why you won't see it coming. Sorry about that, my camera's on. Now, security deposits, that's another thing too. So, again, if you have a business and you collect a security deposit, make sure you return the security deposit in whatever currency that is given to you. Because in some cases, I've had people in the past whereby they'll send you, let's say a booking is $5,000 and a security deposit $500, and then you only have a mobile money account. So they send you using Sendwave or one of these transfer things, and then you get the money in mobile in Ghana Cedis, and instead of you being smart, automatically changing that money into USD, you keep it in Ghana Cedi. By the time the person, if that money has depreciated, and the person says that, okay, I want the same amount of money that I've given you, then it becomes a big issue. All of these little details need to be taken into and into what you got again? Into consideration. Host fee. Another thing, if you decide, does anybody understand the word arbitrage? Okay, arbitrage is when I take a property from Mr. A, I take the property, he gives it to me at $100, I rent it out for $120 or $130 per night, and I take my spread on it for the top. Now, thinking you're going to put that on Airbnb without realizing that Airbnb take 20% of the booking fee. So then what would happen is that whatever you're supposed to give that landlord, automatically it gets depreciated because you're not even going to get anything from that. And because of the fact that you need to make your pricing strategic, you end up losing, and the whole process won't make sense to you anymore. So all these elements need to be taken into consideration before you move. So Airbnb is 20%, Booking.com is between 10 and 15, to 10 and 25, VRBO is 15. My only problem with VRBO is it applies to a different demographic. So most travelers in Europe and the States, they prefer using that. But Africa, it's not really, I've had about maybe 2 or 3 bookings years ago now. So I just feel as if, yes, it's cheaper, but it doesn't really do much. Now, value-added services. So what I used to do a while ago, and I'm talking like 2014, if you booked a 3-bedroom apartment for me in Cantonments, fully furnished, and I'm talking like on the same road, I don't know if you guys know the Flair Road, the Switchback Road. Okay, so you book a 3-bedroom apartment for 2 weeks at $250 a night. I'll give you a car and a chef within that. So a car, you can drive yourself, you can do a chef. Nobody did that. So those things made people want to come back because they realized that I was giving you more value for money. And things like that become very memorable to the travelers because in their mind, this is somebody who cares about their stay. And then obviously, again, I decided to take a long approach. I could have decided to be like, you know something, let me not do that, or let me make it $400 a month. No. By doing that, I was able to generate more leads because of the fact that I got referred due to the fact that the service was good. So I always take a very long approach. Now, Airbnb has a damage insurance policy per stay. So it's $3 million for each stay. So if, for example, somebody comes into your apartment and a person booked the property through Airbnb, so far as you take the pictures and you file the report that there's that this is the damage that the guest has caused, they're able to give you some money back, and then you can cover whatever damages. But make sure you have photographic evidence for every single thing that's potentially gone through as well. I tried to look into the local insurance companies, but they don't have a policy for that. So I guess that's another conversation we may need to have and see if something can be created. I was saying that if we could find a way to pay $15 or even $10 per stay and we get an insurance policy which covers $50,000, right? It's something that we can feel comfortable with and allow landlords to use that to standardize it too as well. So we'll see that. Now, profiling guests. This is, like I said, this is important because, okay, certain areas, unfortunately in Accra, it's not everybody who is meant for those certain areas. And unfortunately, I'm sorry if it sounds a certain way, but it's the truth. The certain areas not meant for. Just because you are desperate and you haven't had a tenant for a long time, anybody can decide to book your apartment on Booking.com or see your property on Instagram and call you, I want it for 2 weeks, give me $5,000, and go there and have a house party in it. And then Mr. Quist or Mrs. Quist, who they've been there for 20 years, they are suffering because some small boys are blasting music in their $1 million apartment in airports. That's the reality of it. You have to have some level of circumspect and discipline to understand that it's not every money that you take. You need to protect your relationship with your landlords and think to yourself, okay, what area would best suit these college kids who want to have parties? Send them to an apartment you have in East Legon, maybe somewhere that is more susceptible to people who are young and they are okay with that. Just protect your investment, because your investment with the property owner is what will bring you money. Anything that brings you bread and butter, protect it with everything you have. too as well. Now, 12 is something I say, and listen to me very carefully. Invest a lot of bed sheets and towels. I can't even say this to you. Like it's something that I remember asked for you to do that for me. I think latex foam to do that, or you can even buy from Accra. Invest in a lot of these things and have some form of storage that you keep things like soap and just things, because whenever a tenant leaves and you're getting ready for another tenant, the tenant will use that we call a reset. You want a situation whereby you have everything. So when you're doing a reset, like for example, me, the quickest reset I've ever done is 30 minutes. Somebody left within 30 minutes, the property was ready for another guest. And all those things. And the only way I could do that is because of the fact that I had the things in storage too as well. So if you can use money, go to Accra and buy a lot of, and by the way, when I say bed sheets, buy white bed sheets. I've built a lot of properties that they've used very weird colors. Now, internationally, anything has white on it, it gives the significance of cleanliness, and it makes the guest feel like, okay, they're in a place that's good. So even if your laundry is coming back and your laundry makes it a bit dirty, change it as well. Don't put stain sheets on it as well. Now, think long term. This also goes back to my other point. As Africans and Ghanaians, unfortunately, we have this unfortunate knack of being very myopic in our perspective. What you are doing is, you're not just making a commission. If you want to make this a business that can sustain you, you can pay for your lifestyle, pay for your children's school fees, pay for anything that you want, go on holidays, then you need to think long term. So, for example, if you've got a property that you're running and you're making, again, this is one property, and you're making $150, you're selling for $50 a night, and you're making $50 a night. Why don't you get 4 or 5 other landlords, right? And what you end up doing is that instead of making $150, make it to $120 a night. So at $20 a night, you're only making $20 a night. But what that does is that attracts more people to come to your listing, because your listing is nicer and more affordable. It should end up having the consistent revenue coming from 5 different properties. So it's called economies of scale. So you have that critical mass, which essentially is going to end up making you turn this into a business. So, like, a lot of people ask me, why do I like doing sales? I like doing sales. Sales is something I do here once in a while, but I prefer rentals, and I've figured it out. So far as I can run about 15 to 20 rentals a month, right? On average, I can walk away with about $30,000 a month. And that way, I can sleep knowing that anything I want, my kids' school fees, my rent, my mortgage, whatever, is handled. Sales, yes, it can be on the side, but then play the long game and play the game. Don't just think, okay, you know something, I'm broke right now, let me do whatever. I hear you, go ahead and see. We've seen plenty of you guys come and go. We've been here for a while, so really. Next one, please. So, invest in good pictures. If you can't afford a professional photographer, because nowadays they're quite expensive, if you have even like an iPhone 14, 13, you know there's a setting in the camera that gives you a wide angle. So with a wide angle shot, you're able to take professional looking shots by virtue of how you position it. So I'll give you a little trick. If, for example, this is a room and you want to take a picture of a couch that is in front of you, even though you have a wide angle shot, you don't take it standing in front of it. You take it at the corner of the room, in the middle of it, and then it gives that illusion of it, and you just touch it up a little bit. Things like that make a huge difference, because people don't like seeing things that were just taken randomly, just using any camera too as well. One more thing, another thing. Avoid false advertising. Again, this boils down to desperation. I see a lot of people smiling because they know what I'm talking about. Haven't you guys ever seen any of those ads that says, oh, the property is 15 minutes away from the airport? Good. Now, and then you end up in the back of Tichy. Yeah. I kid you not. First off, I love Tichy. I love the beach, solid place. But imagine somebody who has never been to Ghana, who has to do some work at the ministries. Because people are very price conscious right now. As far as they're concerned, they see a nice apartment 15 minutes from the airport, and it's $50 a night, and you take them to a place they've never been, without disclosing to them fully that this is an up and coming area. Or you can even flip it around and say it's 2 minutes from the beach, so you get to spend things. That is a different way of doing it. Instead of lying to them, that's just telling them that okay, this is where they're going to be. Because I personally been to a property, very beautiful, but if I tell the positioning, I don't think you have. I've never seen that before myself. So like I said, in whatever description box that you're doing, make sure you tell them exactly what they're getting into. If you're speaking to them via text message, video call them, tell them this is a property. Please, you can even send them a location so that they know exactly what they're getting into. Because yes, they may come there, but they'll never come to you again. And then again, it will defeat the purpose of you trying to build a business. Because right now, my only concern at this point is, if there's any young person here who has decided that, look, this is what I want to do myself, do it right so that it makes sense for you. Or there's no point you being in this room whatsoever. Accessibility, another thing too as well. If, for example, the property is on the 3rd floor and there's no elevator, tell the tenant that this is the situation. Don't let the tenant get there and the tenant struggles to go up the stairs. Like for example, I have an issue with my right leg now because I got sick a couple years ago. So I am very careful about the places I go to. And there's some tenants who are on wheelchairs and whatnot. So all these things need to be said to them from the onset before they come to your property. Again, or else it will be a problem because the person either can't go up or come down the stairs. Now, bank charges too as well. I don't know if you've ever experienced this situation whereby you receive a remittance from a different country, like in USD, and you go to the bank, and then to take out the money, you get charged percentage, i.e. 2%, 2.5%, but because of the fact that you didn't take into account, you didn't take that into account when you're doing your calculation, you ended up losing a lot of money because of the fact that you're only making maybe $300 and you're taking out all bank charges. So make sure you know what your bank charges are if you're getting your money in foreign exchange, and you know how much your bank will take, and then you add that to your price point from the onset so you can protect yourself, because that's ideally what I'm trying to do for you. Next slide, please. So I did this in 2012. Anybody who's been to the UK, I actually mapped the Accra using the UK tube system. So anybody who knows what is will have a pretty good idea. So this is for people who have never been to Accra before. Feel free, look at it, and it literally shows exactly. So little things like this, you send this to them and you show them, okay, you are zone 1 or zone 2, you're close to the airport. If I said to somebody, he asked me, why is he in zone 4 right now? Yeah, so it's little value added things like that. It make a huge difference because it shows that you actually care and you empathize with the guests. And that's ideally what we want. We want people to feel as if they're coming to Ghana and we're not just here to take their money. We're here to make their stay worthwhile. There's one more thing I would like to say when I move to the next one. So the next slide. So this is what this is what I was doing with a car, chef, and apartment. And I said we're different, and it's okay. You don't have to always be the same company. You can do your own thing and stand out. It wasn't expensive, and it offered value for money. But yet somebody will give the same thing at the same price point, and as far as I can say, all they're giving is a DSTV subscription. They won't tell you to pay for Wi-Fi when you get there. Now, if you have a business and you have a brand, you need to make sure that brand contributes back to the society. So the next slide. So for example, what I tend to do every year is I do something with different institutions. So I do a literacy drive. So this one I did with Lancaster University, whereby I donated books to orphanages. The reason that, because when I was a kid, I remember one of the best places I used to love being was reading a book, because that was the only time my imagination would take on, and I'll think of what's the best thing I can do. If one of these kids can actually do something like that, and at least I've done my job. Yes. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, I think we're done. We're ready for the Q&A. But thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope you learned something. Okay. So, anybody with questions, please raise your hands. Right. So the microphone will come to you. You introduce yourself,
let us know what industry you're in, and you ask your question. So we'll start from here.
Okay, I'm Damiola.
Sorry, could you repeat that, please?
I'm Dami Ola.
Okay, Dami.
So my question is on the insurance, right?
Yes.
So can you give us, you made mention of the fact that there's challenges with like Ghanaian insurance company insuring this kind of stuff.
Yes.
Can you like throw more light into, like give more details and why they tend to run away from it, or like they don't even offer it at all? If you have any idea about it, thank you.
Yeah. So what I suspect is that this whole model, Airbnb, is still relatively new. So they haven't created a policy covering it just yet. I think sometimes something down the line, eventually will make sense and will have something that makes sense. But anybody who has access to an insurance company, you can advise them that this is a potential direction they should look into, because if they're able to cover the property for, even if $20,000 in terms of damage, and somebody pays $10 out of it, okay, I have this peace of mind, and an extra layer of peace of mind apart from whoever I'm dealing with. Yeah, so that's all good. Next question, please.
Hello, my name is Ezekiel, and my question has to do with the taxes.
Yes.
So, for instance, the taxes for residential, you mentioned it was 8%.
Yes.
Now, this rate, when you are selling a house, do you calculate the fee for the taxes and add it to the original price of the house, or you give the original?
Sorry to cut you. There's no, you don't pay withholding tax on sales, right? It doesn't work like that. Withholding tax for rentals.
It's for rentals.
Rentals, yes.
Oh,
it's not for sales.
okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. Any more questions? Yeah, please. More.
All right. My name is Ohunenana, and you spoke about the value-added services.
Yes.
So my question is, how do I have these value-added services without it eating into a lot of my profits, like so that I make a loss or something like that? So,
okay, so before I was able to do those value-added services, I'd run my numbers very, very critically. How much does the rental cost me? How much will my chef cost me for 14 days? All those things have been done very strategically. For example, I intentionally said 14 days. I didn't say 3 weeks. I didn't say 1 week. 3 weeks would end up making the deal too expensive and too long. 1 week would have made it too short. So 2 weeks was perfect. So he was able to cover the cost of the car rental and the chef that came to do breakfast. So everything has to be done very strategically before you make a move. And the value of the services doesn't necessarily have to be like that. It can, depending on where your Airbnb or your property is. For example, if you have something in Ada or what's the name of that beach town? Any beach town, you can find somebody who makes something African or something that brings out that gives that traditional feel. So during their stay, we can do a free bead making session, free pottery session. All those things are part of your stay. And or you can say, learn how to make sobolu or learn how to do something. All those things that people don't expect, but once you do for them, they will come back. Things, even if they don't come back, they refer you to somebody. And once that you have that once referral, that's the business you've created. Next question, please.
Hi, Maurice.
My brother, how are you?
Hi. So I have two questions.
Okay.
I have two questions.
Yeah.
I just started the Airbnb thing.
Airbnb amazing, by the way. Amazing.
Thank you.
Check out his properties.
Thank you so much. I started this in October.
Yeah.
And I had no idea about the 3.5%. So my bank actually charges, I wouldn't mention the bank, they charge me 3.5.
Wow.
So Airbnb pays the money and they take 1% on transfer, and by the time I had gone to withdraw the money from the bank, they charge another 3.5. So that's 4.5.
Yeah.
percent gone. So the first time I realized this, I was like, oh, no. So what's your best advice in this scenario? I know you talked about factoring this
in your pricing.
Yeah, in the pricing. doesn't that make it more expensive?
Yes.
Because I think I believe in your principle of pricing the properties a little bit low.
Yes.
And get repetitive business than just putting it out there, right? So what's your best strategy in this? How do you calculate this into the total price that you put out there on Airbnb?
You said you had a second question?
Yeah, the second question. The second question has to do with my host. So how I operate with the Airbnb model is I manage these properties for my host.
Yeah.
And sometimes they don't like to be co-host or anything like that.
Yeah.
So how it's difficult managing expectations, right? They want a different price. For example, they want 150 and here's an offer. They want 150 and here's an offer for $120 for 20 days in a month. But they want 150. Okay, so how do you manage all that expectation and convince them to accept an offer that seems feasible, even though, I mean, like, I know you get what I mean.
Okay, so let me go to your first thing. In Airbnb, you're able to set the duration for, the minimum duration for your stay. So the best way to mitigate that is do a minimum of 7 nights or even 5 nights per stay, and you have an added spread on, but you do a calculation whereby 4%, which will cover your transfer and fees per price point, right? So you spread it over 5 or 7 days, but you realize that they end up being quite minute, as opposed to you banking on maybe 1 or 2 nights. If it's 5 or 7 nights, you won't feel it as much, and the end user won't feel it. It won't be that much. So if it's, for example, $120 a night, for that 4% will end up being about 122 or 123, as opposed to you making it a regular stay whereby you have to actually add it on, so that's another $130. And that's the thing. People don't realize that when you give them an opportunity to think twice about it, because of the fact that your pricing looks like everything else. Okay, what makes your unit so special? Then you end up looking at something else. So it's just about your pricing strategy and trying to do a minimum stay of 3 or 4 nights or even 5 nights, so that way you can protect yourself over there for whatever transfer period you need. Now, secondly, when it comes to landlords not wanting or property owners not wanting to take it, I can say this like my brother Eddie will say, forget them. I will never, if I have a landlord who I'm trying to make money for you, and just by virtue of the fact that I'm not coming here with any lies, I'm coming with nothing but facts. This is what the market currently is dictating. Yes, unfortunately, your property is worth so much. And you see, property owners they've either bought a brand new property, or they've just decided to spend a lot of money to renovate the property. Those are the two types of property owners that you want to avoid with the 10-foot pole, because in their mind, their expectations are so high because they think, I bought this apartment for $600,000, so they want this amount of returns, even though the market currently doesn't dictate those rental rates. So I was even showing this earlier to my guys. I'm not going to mention the name of the developers, but what I'll just give you is an overview of the mindsets that unfortunately some people have in Ghana. I asked for a 2-bedroom for a client who is coming for December. And typical Ghana mind is dirty December, cash out season, cocoa season. Okay. A 2-bedroom in East Legon, I'm being quoted $7,280 for regular and $8,400 for standard. I didn't even bother responding to the message, because the fact that you can tell me that automatically tells me the kind of person you are. Like, I'm not even going to bother. And those are the if you want to make this a business, this isn't the type of person you want to be. Please, and I'll say this to you one more time, think long term. Like, yes, it may be difficult in the short term, it may be difficult, but I promise you, and this is not me being guessing, it will pay off. Think long term and play the long game. If this you want it to be a business, if you want to become a developer yourself, you earn enough money over a certain maybe year or two to be able to go and buy land somewhere, not they go on a book will be this and that. Then you start building your own property. I have colleagues who are doing that right now. They've been in the game for 5 years. I've done multiple projects to myself too as well, only because of the fact that we kept our head down and we just kept it moving. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you. All right, have a good day. Any more questions? Or are we good?
Yeah, I'm Samuel.
Hey, Samuel.
I'm Samuel.
I like your glasses, my guy.
Yeah, thank you.
Nice one.
I'm actually not in the real estate industry. I'm a student.
Okay.
But I'm really interested in this real estate thing. I aspire to venture into it one day.
What are you studying?
So, political science and French. It is not really related, but
No.
it's something
that's
that
cool.
I'm interested in. I do it alongside. So I just wanted to ask, like, what are the legal challenges? What are the legal challenges that a new person like me that is aspiring to venture into this real estate, what are the legal challenges I should be particularly aware of with regards to this Airbnb thing?
Legal challenges. Okay, so right off the bat, there isn't anything, unless you sign a tenancy agreement or you sign a lease agreement which binds you to the property or the guest. There's no legal framework in place that stops you from doing it. So far as you follow the rules that I've set out and what you've also done, I think you should be fine. I mean, understand that this is what needs to be done, and you do it the right way. You should be fine. You shouldn't be an issue. Yeah. Okay, guys, do we have any more questions? Okay, so Eddie, we're good? All right.
Hello? All right, I think we are good. Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together. Give it up for the CEO-IVI Properties. This is a lot of knowledge. If we have to charge for this, we will charge a lot of money. So put your hands together one more time. Thank you so much, Mr. Maurice Aouad. We truly appreciate it. And for the students who want to get into real estate, Maurice is available. So after this session, you can talk to him one-on-one and get some more information. Don't worry, just have the long game in mind. A lot of Ghanaians are too short-term thinkers. They want to do this and make all the money in 1 month. It's not possible.
So if, like you're saying, if anybody wants to reach out to me, my personal Instagram is king__4040 and underscore again. And the company page is IVI_properties on Instagram. And the website is www.iviproperties.com. I advise reach out, follow the Instagram page because I tend to post a lot of properties on a regular basis. So even if, for example, you're somebody looking for a lead or looking for a property to essentially market to somebody coming to Ghana and you want to make a bit of money, right? Whatever we post on that day, screenshot it and show it to the person. If the lead, let the person like send me a DM, and then I always make sure you get a drink on it and you're good. We can work very quickly. Yeah. Thank you.